Volgend jaar juni is het 60 jaar geleden dat hij in een Liverpoolse middenwoning ter wereld kwam. James Paul McCartney. Een halve eeuw later is hij de eerste popmiljardair uit de geschiedenis. Dus rekenden we destijds bij ons bezoek aan zijn vrouw Linda op een supervilla met zwembad. Maar niks hoor. Oké, de McCartneys hadden een aardige paardencollectie. Maar het huis is een relatief eenvoudige molen op het boerenland. Stijlvol ingericht, dat wel. Met studio aan huis, dat ook. En met duidelijk zichtbaar Pauls voorkeur voor de schilderkunst van Matisse. Voor deze keer hebben we zijn geluidsstudio omgebouwd tot televisiedecor. Inclusief vleugel, in de hoop dat hij straks af en toe even een paar maten zal willen spelen. Hij is nog niet binnen of de make-up lady meldt zich. Intussen houden 3 managers buiten beeld in de gaten of de 59-jarige wel verantwoord in beeld gebracht wordt. En dan komt, u zult het zien, achter in het shot straks één van hen op me af en fluistert: alles mag, maar vooral geen vragen over George Harrison.
Yeah, people told me already. It's okay, it's okay. Yeah.
Hij is de derde al, die ons laat weten dat McCartney dan volledig dicht zal klappen. Het verzoek is meer dan begrijpelijk. De dag voor ons gesprek is Paul McCartney met Ringo Starr naar New York geweest. Om afscheid te nemen van George Harrison. De Beatle die tijdens zijn leven zo'n gruwelijke hekel had aan interviews.
I don't like talking about myself. I'm not good at interviews. I don't like to do that. I'm not a, it's 25 years of doing that sort of thing. So I don't feel really at ease about going out, doing television and interviews and promote myself. I'm very bad at promoting myself.
Een unicum dus dat Harrison ons ruim 10 jaar geleden te woord stond. Een korte terugblik op dat gesprek met die andere Beatle die onlangs overleed. Waar hij vooral niet mee kon leven was de roddelpers. Hij schreef er een nummer over, The Devil's Radio.
In what way do you feel victimized by that type of journalism?
It's not just gossip journalism, it's gossip in general. The idea of that came from a church. I was at the traffic lights in my car and by this little church, and there was a sign on the side of the church and it said, "Gossip, the devil's radio. Don't be a broadcaster." So I just thought it was a good idea for a song, and it says in the song is gossip is, it's on the radio, it's in your magazines, it's just in people talking, about each other, and it's in films and it's in the clubs and it's in everywhere. It's not just about the press.
So you are against gossip?
Gossip, yeah, because it is a bad thing. I'm maybe more sensitive to it because maybe there's more gossip talked about me and the Beatles than about, generally. But gossip is not a good thing. It's a negative thing. And a lot of people I know, friends of mine, and they always say, "Oh, you won't believe what I heard about, Eric, he's doing, And it's like, I don't want to know about all these twisted little stories about, it's very negative.
Something in the way she moves.
George Harrison, de jongste Beatle. Altijd in de schaduw van John en Paul. Terwijl hij zelf toch ook zulke prachtige nummers schreef, zoals dit, Something.
Something in the way she woos me.
Bij de Beatles vond hij zelf te weinig aan bod. Niet vreemd als je een creatief duo voor je hebt als Lennon en McCartney, die samen schijnbaar moeiteloos de ene na de andere wereldhit componeerden. Muziek die ook nu nog, vaak 40 jaar later, opvalt door ongeëvenaarde originaliteit. De vraag die eeuwig onbeantwoord zal blijven is deze: waar haalden die 2 Liverpoolse jongens het toch vandaan? Vanaf midden jaren 60 waarde overal ter wereld een virus rond, Beatlemania. Zo bijvoorbeeld werden ze in ons land ontvangen. Het zijn taferelen die je nooit meer zult meemaken. Dit soort aan totale gekte grenzende aanbidding is van een andere tijd. Hoe houd je als eenvoudige jongens uit Liverpool staande te midden van die bijna buitenaardse verering? Dat lukte alleen dankzij een ijzersterk gevoel voor humor. De belangrijksten onze aarde wilden ze ontmoeten: vorsten, filmsterren en politici. Bijvoorbeeld Amerika's toenmalige minister van Buitenlandse Zaken, Henry Kissinger. Eigenlijk was George het minst opgewassen tegen al die aandacht.
you spent the majority of the years after the breakup of the Beatles avoiding publicity. Can one say that you're essentially a private nature?
Yeah, I'm a private person. I realize, having been the Beatles, it's not easy to be private all the time. But even if you're not in the Beatles, I think everybody needs some space. Everybody needs somewhere where they can go to be quiet and to get away from the day job. For me, the Beatles was like a day job. You know, like you go home and you rest and you have some space and privacy. And it's important for everybody in this world to have some space.
Gave you one big privilege because you had the privilege of meeting Mr. Kissinger.
Yeah. Well, me and Henry, we're great buddies. Yeah.
He wanted to have a photograph with you, or what happened?
Yeah, somebody told me he wanted to meet me, and so I was in Washington, and they took me over to the State Department. And I got there, and they brought me in his office, and he shook hands, and he said, "Why did you want to meet me?" And I didn't know what to say, because I was going there because he wanted to meet me. So I don't know what I said, but I waffled something that to get out of it. And then he said, "Well, do you want to have a photograph taken?" I said, "Oh yeah, okay." And he pressed a button, a photographer came in, took our photograph, and that was it. The great Henry.
Jaar lang beheersten de Beatles de hele popscene. Verdienden ze hun bijnaam de Fab Four. George relativeerde dat meteen op zijn heel eigen wijze.
But the word fab is, it has to be seen as sort of a joke, you know, it's a bit of a joke.
That's seen in your car, by the way. Now.
Yeah, I'm going home now.
Het kan geen toeval zijn dat George het meeste contact had met die andere Beatle in de schaduw, drummer Ringo Starr. Over hem zei hij ooit dit.
He is like myself with the guitar. What did you mean by that?
Well, we've grown, for so many years, grown up together, and as a drummer, I know Ringo is a great drummer, but he is bad, he doesn't practice. But it doesn't seem to matter. He just picks up the drumsticks, and for my songs he's very good because he listened to the song once and he knows exactly what to play. He was the kind of drummer who never likes drum solos. So he just keeps good time, and he instinctively knows when there's a little piece that needs a fill. And it's the same with me. You know, people call me a guitar player. And in a way, I'm a guitar player, but I never practice. There's years and years in my life where I never pick the guitar up except just to make a record. But I know I could be quite good, but I don't practice enough.
Do you have the feeling that the older you get, the better you become?
Yes. For me, because when I was younger and with the Beatles and John and Paul and all that situation, it was hard for me to come out and get my confidence, and I think a lot to do with writing songs and singing, particularly vocals, is hard. If you're very, very nervous, it's difficult because your voice chokes up. Now I don't care, you know, I'm getting old, I just don't care about what anybody thinks, and consequently it comes over better.
Yes. Being the youngest member of the Beatles, did you have any particular...
How old are they?
Yes. Did you have any particular difficulty establishing your own identity in the group? Was that extra difficult because you were younger?
I don't think I wasn't even trying to identify or make an identity. I was just in the band, really, and every so often I thought I would like to get my tune in. That was difficult in the beginning, and maybe more so after the Beatles split up is why I had so many songs and stuff like that. Yes. It was difficult at times, but I didn't mind. You know, I accepted being that member of the band that was in the middle. I didn't mind being that person.
At the time of the split up, you were only, I think, 27. You had a lifetime of experiences. You'd been through everything imaginable. Can you describe who were you at that moment?
In no less than 25 words?
I give you 26.
I don't know. At the time, when we split, we'd had too much input from, everything, all that being close together, touring the world, mania, everything like that. It was, we needed a rest from each other, and we needed space to grow. I think it's important because we're growing all the time, and when you like that situation, it's just like a family. You're so close together, and then you grow older and you want to move and you want to go into your own house and have your own friends. And that was necessary. I don't have any regrets, the Beatles splitting up. I think they did a fantastic thing in that short time. But everybody wants them to go together again, and it's impossible. I think it's better left as it is.
In welke uithoek van onze aardbol ze zich ook vertoonden, overal hordes fans de straat op. Geen wonder dat je onder die extreme omstandigheden op zoek gaat naar de werkelijke waarde in dit bestaan. George Harrison was degene die contact legde met de spirituele wereld van de Maharishi Yogi. Daar zochten de Beatles antwoorden op de vragen des levens. Tegelijkertijd vertoonde John Lennon steeds extremer gedrag. Vooral nadat hij in de ban was geraakt van Yoko Ono, de vrouw van wie we nu weten dat ze eerst tevergeefs geprobeerd heeft om McCartney te verleiden. En die ten minste medeoorzaak is geweest van de uiteindelijke breuk van de Beatles.
Voor het Amsterdamse Hilton Hotel trok een kruimkleurige Rolls-Royce iets meer dan gewone aandacht. De kostbare wagen, die zelfs voorzien is van televisie, behoort toe aan het meest besproken echtpaar van het jaar. De bewierookte Mr. en Mrs. Lennon, oftewel Beatle John Lennon en zijn Japanse vrouw Yoko Ono. Het paar is op huwelijksreis en bleek niet bereid het bed uit te komen om de pers te woord te staan. En daarom kwam de pers aan bed voor de opnamen van wat men wel een bedside story zou kunnen noemen.
George's eigen bedside stories beperken zich tot een eerste huwelijk met Pattie Boyd en een later veel gelukkiger verbintenis met zijn vrouw Olivia. Die Olivia hield hij zo buiten de publiciteit dat het een zeldzaamheid was als je een goede foto tegenkwam van het echtpaar, samen met hun enige zoon Dani. Vooral na het uit elkaar vallen van de Beatles is George steeds op zoek gebleven naar zichzelf. Die zoektocht viel samen met een constante verandering van uiterlijk. Hij leek voor het geluk geboren, dat wel. Overleefde een nachtelijke overval in zijn eigen huis, maar werd uiteindelijk niet ouder dan 58. George Harrison. Na de Beatles had hij nog ambitie genoeg.
You lived so extremely intensively. Was there anything left to accomplish? Did you have the feeling that there was something you wanted to be accomplished by yourself?
Well, at the time the Beatles split up, the first thing I had to accomplish was to record all the songs I'd written during the Beatle days which never got onto vinyl.
Ook in zijn solowerk altijd weer veel humor en zelfrelativering. Dat relativeren dankt hij vooral aan de komst van zijn zoon Dani. Daardoor, zei Harrison, veranderde mijn leven totaal.
Well, it's made me want to not sort of kill myself too soon, Sometimes we go too fast in life. And it makes me realize the responsibility. I want to have time to enjoy that relationship. And it's also made me think, I'm sure everybody who's a parent knows when they have a child, you also can be that child and you're the parent and you can also be your own father at the same time. It's like it puts you into 3 different periods of time. 3 generations can be experienced in one. It's a nice experience.
So you stopped being as crazy as you were?
As crazy.
How crazy were you?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, rock and roll is crazy,
What's your son's favorite type of music? Is it your music?
Chuck Berry.
So it's familiar.
Chuck Berry, the thing he wants to do most is play Chuck Berry.
Een van de weinige buitensporigheden waarop je Harrison kon betrappen was die aanschaf van dat huis met 120 kamers.
Well, it was just a big old Victorian mansion house that was unloved, decaying. It was all broken and they were going to knock it down and build a housing estate there. I bought it because it was a great example of Victorian craftsmanship, even though it was broken. And I fixed it up because it was interesting. It was like the National Trust in England who preserves nice old buildings. I like old buildings, so I wanted to do it like that.
The house is very important to you. You've been celebrating your house in 2 songs, so it means a lot to you.
Yeah, it's a place where I can get privacy, and when you sit like this room here we're in now, it's a nice room to be in, you know? And it is nice when you go in the house and you feel, oh, it's a nice room to be in. Because it makes you feel good and it's conducive to maybe writing songs or feeling happy.
It's a well-known fact, Mr. Harrison, that you believe very firmly in reincarnation. What gave you this firm conviction?
Just by studying the Vedic, you know, what they call Hinduism, or even reading what Jesus Christ said. Jesus Christ taught all about reincarnation, except in Constantinople in 441 AD. They decided to get rid of that because the Romans, who was then starting to, they knew there was something good about Christianity or about Christ, but they didn't really like some of the things he said, so they fashioned it to suit themselves, and at that point in time they cut out what he's talked about, which is reincarnation and the law of karma, which is, as he said, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. But Christ taught the law of karma and rebirth.
To conclude, give me your first reaction to some names. Eric Clapton.
He's lovely.
Donnie.
My boy.
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher.
That's John.
Lennon.
Paul.
I'm going to see him now. I'm late for dinner with Paul.
Ringo.
I'm late for dinner with Ringo too.
George.
George Michaels, George Washington, George Formby, George Benson. Which one of these do you mean?
Op veel plaatsen in de wereld werden vorige week herdenkingsbijeenkomsten gehouden ter nagedachtenis aan de man die zijn keelkanker nog te baas kon, maar die het uiteindelijk moest afleggen tegen een tumor in de hersenen. George Harrison, de stille Beatle, maar een meesterlijk muzikus en een mooi mens. Terug naar Paul McCartney. Overtuigd vegetariër en trots op zijn 30ste album na het einde van de Beatles. Op dat album een aantal zeer persoonlijke nummers.
Okay. Sir Paul, hey, what's the nicest thing people can say about the album? What's the nicest thing they can say? That they like it.
Yeah. What's the most unjust thing people can say about it?
The most unjust thing is that it stinks.
But it doesn't.
But it's not true.
No. That's why it's unjust.
That would be unjust.
Yeah. What's the nicest thing people can say about you at the age of 59?
That I'm an okay guy.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
You still are, aren't you?
I'm trying to be modest here,
yeah.
Ivo.
But you're sort of a walking wonder of vegetarianism, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 That still works.
It's very good, veggie, yeah.
Because you look in great shape.
Well, I feel good, you know. Yeah, maybe it's something to do with the veggie diet, yeah. I feel good, and the sheep feel good.
Yeah?
They feel really meh. Hi, Paul.
They recognize you?
Oh, yeah.
All of them, or
they
just
all
part
know
of them?
me.
Just the intellectual sheep? Or?
No, they all know me.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's coming time now, choosing the ones to breed, you see, on the farm.
Yeah.
So we do it, we play God now. These ones, this ram.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
McCartney, bassist, componist. En sinds zijn ontmoeting met de wereldberoemde schilder Willem de Koning durft hij ervoor uit te komen dat hij ook in de weer is met verf en kwast. Dankzij de koning overwon hij zijn angst om ermee naar buiten te komen. De koning zei, geen gezeur, gewoon doen.
But he was great. He just looked at it. He said, I don't know. He said, looks like a couch, huh? And that one little expression, just the way he threw it out to me as to what it was, and the way he didn't really seem to care what it was very liberating. So I thought that really takes care of a lot of my blocks about, oh, if you paint, it's got to be really significant. You've got to think for hours about what it is you do. It's got to come from a deep place.
En dus kwam er een boek en een grote expositie. Met opvallend veel portretten van Pauls 3 jaar geleden overleden vrouw Linda.
It's a very good model. Kind of difficult to paint, I always thought, because she had such a character, strong character, that I always thought like I got a bit of her each time I painted her. Some of the most successful stuff I've ever done in music was the worst criticized. So I don't really care what critics think. I'm sorry, lads, but I don't value you. I really don't see why I should suppress a passion. What, for you? Or for somebody out there, you know, why? You sure you want to suppress me?
I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
En sinds de dood van een van zijn jeugdvrienden is Paul ook gedichten gaan schrijven.
You're so enormously productive over the past couple of years, writing poems, painting.
Yeah.
Now this new album. Did you take any time to grieve after everything that happened in your life?
Oh yeah, you know, that's the first year after I lost Linda, I didn't really do anything. That was in '98. I really couldn't do anything. And some people said to me, throw yourself into work. Just go back to work, you know. Particularly doctors. People say, do that. Professional people. And so I thought, no, it doesn't feel right to me, so I didn't. And I was at home a lot. I was just with friends a lot. I was with my family a lot. And I found myself grieving. And I think in some ways maybe it was a good thing because I did a lot of it and I didn't ignore it. So that after about a year of that, I did feel like I'd got rid of some of it. Yeah. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
What a lot of people say in those circumstances, that they're learning a lot about themselves. Have you learned something about yourself that surprised you?
Yeah, I think, you know, I think you as you go on in life, you want to try and improve yourself if you can. So I think in something like that, you have to listen to other people and see what they like about you and what they don't like about you. Yeah. And if, you know, you try and fix the bits they don't like. Yeah. So I try and do that. It's not always possible.
On the other hand, you have to count your blessings every day.
I do, yeah. I very much do that because I'm very lucky. I've, you know, had a lot of things in my life to feel lucky about. It would have been enough for most people just to be in the Beatles.
Yeah.
You know, some kid
Absolutely.
from that. You know, most people say that would be cool.
Oh.
And there were only 4 of us. You know, so that's like pretty special. But I've had other blessings too. You know, I had a great marriage to Linda, and now after losing Linda tragically, I now have a new love in my life. So you know, even though tragedies occur in life, I feel in many ways a lucky man.
What's more inspiring for a songwriter, grief or having a romance?
I think romance.
Yeah.
For me, I think so. I think for some people, both work really. I wrote the song yesterday. Well, I woke up one morning and I dreamed this melody. You know, I had a piano by the bed, but I dreamed this. So I kind of. And that was. I didn't think it was anything to do with grief, because it was just a tune. But then I worked on the words, and in the middle it says, why she had to go, I don't know, she wouldn't say. And years later people said to me, you know, that was probably about you losing your mother when you were 14. And so I think there's some truth to that, maybe, you know, tragedy and stuff does, you know, awaken certain artistic things.
Yeah, because you started to write poetry after you lost your friend.
Yeah, after I lost.
So grief is a sort of inspiration.
I think so. Yeah. I think also though having love in your life is great.
Yeah, it comes easier probably then.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, it's more fun. It's easier. Yeah, you don't have to go through these tragedies. Yeah. On the new record, Driving Rain, I've written a few songs for Heather, my fiancée. You know. And that's great to do, you know, to be able to say, look, I've written this song for you, and also to put your feelings into a song, because you think, I want this to be perfect. Yeah. You know, I want this to be like a gift of some flowers. I want this to be really the best. So that's a good motivator.
And did you succeed in that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a clear answer.
Very modest.
Yeah. Must have been magic.
Maar eerst dat lied over Linda.
If I hadn't stopped you, I'd always regret.
Het is het verhaal van hun allereerste ontmoeting.
A few minutes later, you'd have been out that door. I'd have been lonely forevermore.
We know a lot more about you since you made this last album, because, for example, now I know that in '67 you were the one who introduced yourself to Linda. And I thought that bass players were always extremely shy.
Were you a bass player?
I know. I just played like this.
Bass? Are you a guitar player? Yeah. Well, they're not shy.
No.
No, I was a little bit shy, but the night I saw Linda, I was in a club, and I liked the look of her when I saw her across the room, you know, like you do. So. But she was leaving, so I thought, okay, so she maybe leaves, or I've got to say something. So I stood up. Hello, how are you? My name's Paul. What's yours? You know, and I didn't normally do that, so it was unusual.
That's
but
what
I
want
felt
to say. It's quite unusual for you.
Yeah, but I felt I had to. It was just one of those pivotal moments. Yeah. So that was it. I did it, and I wrote the song Magic, which is on the new album, which is about that night.
Ze hadden het nadrukkelijk geheim willen houden. En dus waren er honderden gekomen om het einde van Paul McCartney's vrijgezellenstatus te zien. Hij is nu vader geworden van een 6-jarig dochtertje, dat toebehoort aan zijn vrouw, de Amerikaanse fotografe Linda Eastman. De Londense bobbies waren niet de enigen die het op deze gedenkwaardige dag nogal moeilijk hadden. Sommige fans die hun laatste hoop zagen vervliegen, waren ontroostbaar. De huwelijksreis die het gezin McCartney hier begint, had voor de rouwende fans meer het karakter van een uitvaart.
This is something you mustn't do, say with the Beatles. You mustn't marry them, because you come in for a lot of criticism, whoever you are. Even the Duke of Edinburgh would have come in for a lot of flack. It's just, I think it was that, really. People kind of said, oh, well, you know, who does she think she is? Well, she thinks she's my wife, that's all. I'd say maybe we should go on a sort of talk show and sort of explain who I've married, you know, and show them that you're a sort of nice person, you know, because I think they think you're a pushy American broad. That's what's coming over when you just read the papers. And in fact, you're the dead opposite of that. So maybe we should go on a chat show. But we just thought, no, why? You know, what are we going to do? Go and justify ourselves to the whole bloody world? Sodom. And so we ended up just thinking, no, if they don't find out about us, then they don't find out about us. Big deal. We'll know, our kids will know, our friends will know. If our image goes elsewhere, then too bad.
How difficult is it when you are married to such a famous man to protect your private life and to protect your children? Is it very difficult?
Not at all. We just do it. We just
And you succeed in doing it.
Yes.
That's the reason why I ask you.
Yeah, so far, so good.
Because even if you ask someone at the gas station in the neighborhood of your house, and do you know where the McCartneys live? Is it who?
Oh yes, people respect our privacy because we're good people and they want to have us as regular people.
You don't live the glamorous life of rock stars, not at all, because no nannies, no gardeners.
No cooks, no. Well, we have gardener who helps.
Gardeners, that's the only exception to the rule there.
No, we have people on our farm helping, but I don't think one should have children if they want other people to take care of them or if they want them to go off to boarding school. My children were loved and I spent, you know, I just love them. I don't want it. I'd be jealous if a nanny came in and said, I'm taking the baby for a bath. I go, no.
Linda was van beroep fotografe, met een nadrukkelijke voorkeur voor het vastleggen van haar man en vooral haar eigen kinderen.
I give her all my love.
Uit een eerder huwelijk had ze een dochter. Samen met Paul kreeg ze nog 2 werkelijk prachtige dochters en een zoon.
If you saw my love, you'd love her too. I love her.
Het wekte geen verbazing dat het Linda was die de opdracht kreeg om dé foto te maken van de reunie van de 3 na de moord op John Lennon overgebleven Beatles. Een moeilijke klus.
Well, we're all friends, so I think my biggest problem was John wasn't there. And I was used to having the 4 of them together, and I admired John so much that it seemed a little sad to me. So what I did was I took photographs and we had fun and it was nice, but I also have taken pictures of John when he was alive. So I pinned a lot of them up on the wall because Paul makes films of my photographs. So he is making one of the Beatles with my photographs. And so I took the pictures of John and put them all behind the Beatles because I wanted to somehow include John in the photographs.
And you had the feeling that he was included in this way?
Yes, exactly. So he is included.
But it must be a very special experience for you, or not?
Yes,
to be the first one to be able to
very
make a photo
privileged, I must say. But it was not easy.
Must have been magic the night that we met.
Net als George Harrison en net als Paul's moeder Mary overleed ook Linda aan kanker. Het begint een tragische rode draad te worden in deze uitzending.
Always regret. Always regret.
Ze waren er allemaal op de begrafenis.
Must have been magic.
Ringo Starr was er. George Harrison met zijn zoon. Vraag dus, waarom nu pas dat nummer over hun ontmoeting?
You could have written that song 30 years ago, but you waited.
Well, you know, I think the thing is, after losing Linda, I wondered whether I would write songs that were very down songs. And so I just waited to see what came. And this song came. And I was glad that it was about the positive of meeting her rather than losing. It was like wanting to keep with the good memories.
Everything is sort of inspiration for you, because I've been reading that in one of the songs, the alarm system in your house in Los Angeles already brought some sort of a thought to you.
Yeah, well, it was a crazy thing.
You pick everything.
Well,
what happened there exactly with the system?
I mean, you got a sense of humor, right? And I was staying in this house. We were recording in Los Angeles for 2 weeks. And in this house, there was a little readout, little thing to do with the security system. And it should have really said, you know, close front door or close back window. But all this thing ever said was, something's open. And it was like, huh?
There was always
like,
something open.
What's open? It was like, something's open. So it became like a symbolic message. It was like a message, something's open. It was like, he was trying to trick me. So I started a song, it was called Driving Rain. I said, it was like, something's open, it's my heart. So I thought, well, I've got to use that.
So you use everything.
Just to get my own back on this readout thing, yeah.
Here, for the song Heather, you even used a dictaphone, I've been reading.
Well, that was to get it down, yeah, because when I first wrote it, it was in the morning, and I got up and there was a piano in the room, and I started just playing while the kettle was on to make a cup of tea, and I just started playing. And Heather's been mainly brought up on classical music in her family. Her father thought he was a reincarnation.
Never heard of the Beatles, probably.
No, and she didn't know much. No. Her younger sister knows all the Beatles, but in Heather's case, her dad was really keen on Wagner. So she knows more about Wagner than she does about the Beatles. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm playing this song, and I was going... And she said, which one was that? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, which Beatles hit was that? She said, I don't know much about it. I said, well, no. I said, I'm just making it up. I'm just goofing around, She said, no, it's good. You should get it down, So we got a little dictaphone.
Because there were times when you had to remember a song before you were convinced about the fact whether it was good or not. Now you need dictaphones these days.
Well, you don't need them, but they exist. So you take the easy way out. Yeah. No, in the beginning, you're right. Yeah. Me and John were saying, well, how are we going to remember this? We said, well, if we can't remember it, how are they going to remember it?
En nu is er dus de 33-jarige Heather Mills, een nieuwe grote liefde, met wie Paul volgend jaar zomer gaat trouwen. Heather, voormalig fotomodel. Ze verloor in 1993 haar linkerbeen toen ze vlak voor haar deur op de stoep werd aangereden door een politiemotor. Sindsdien zet ze zich in voor met name lichamelijk gehandicapte kinderen die oorlogsslachtoffer zijn. Met haar Heather Mills Trust voert ze fanatiek campagne tegen het gebruik van landmijnen. Zoals al sinds jaar en dag de wereld overreist, van Joegoslavië tot Cambodja, om daar te helpen in crisissituaties. McCartney, met de reputatie van aardig te zijn, maar ongrijpbaar, is op deze dag eerlijk gezegd weinig van te merken. Hij heeft dan ook alle reden om zijn zegeningen te tellen. Aan waardering geen gebrek. Eredoctoraten, koninklijke onderscheidingen. Hij heeft het voorrecht dat hij het allemaal mag meemaken. Anders dan de minstens even getalenteerde John Lennon. Hoe denkt McCartney trouwens dat Lennon zich nu ontwikkeld zou hebben?
I personally think he would have just got greater and greater, and I think he'd be a writer. I think he would have written prose, because I saw some stuff that he wrote towards the end of his life. I thought it was really good. He was a very smart guy. He may well have taken up painting. Who knows? He was very good, creative guy.
Lennon en McCartney. Ze inspireerden elkaar muzikaal en stegen daarbij regelmatig tot ongekende hoogte.
You talk about magic, that was magic between the two of you, this sort of chemistry, because you never sat down, left the room without a song.
No, I recently thought about that. Isn't that incredible?
That's a miracle.
And we must have sat down on about 300 occasions to write a song. And we normally would take about 3 hours, because after that you just get tired, you just get brain dead, So I would go to his house, he would come to mine, and there was only one time ever we got near it. I was doing this song that I'd brought, and we were trying to work it out, and I was going, I can buy you golden rings, I can get you anything. And we couldn't get past this golden rings. It was like, golden rings. Yeah. So we had a cup of tea, and we sat down, and we just had a little break, and then we went back to it, and I said, wait a minute. Oh, baby, you can drive my car. So we just thought of another angle completely. Yeah. It became like a kind of fun idea. Yeah. Drive my car, and that became...
Is it more difficult to do it on your own? You're doing it for so many years now already.
On your own?
Compose.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else then.
No. I wouldn't dare to answer that question.
Exactly. No. We're getting saucy. It is not necessarily more difficult. I think with John, it was a great pleasure. And he did make it easy because he's such a great talent. I think we made it easy for each other. I would sing, it's getting better all the time. And he'd go, couldn't get no worse. So there'd be this great, beautiful balance.
You talk about chemistry, yes.
Yeah, and then I would hear, couldn't get no worse, wow, great. And that would kick me into the next line. So we were very helpful for each other in that way, So it did make it easier. But we also wrote some really good songs on our own, so it's not impossible to write. And I mean, I did like Hey Jude and Let It Be and Yesterday and some of those songs. He did Strawberry Fields and Help we did together. So, but we did a lot of good songs individually.
I'm gonna fly to the moon, checking out of space, find me a suitable plot, build myself a place. There I will stay for a year and a day, until the cares of my life blow away. And I will dance to a runcible tune with the queen of my heart.
De Beatlemania mag dan tot het verleden behoren. Dit gebeurt er als je als een van de Fab Four in Parijs naar de modeshow van je dochter komt. Dan beland je zo'n 30 jaar na dato nog altijd in dit soort situaties. En dat terwijl Paul alleen maar kwam kijken hoe dochter Stella het er vanaf had gebracht. Geheel op eigen kracht heeft zij zich ontwikkeld tot een van de belangrijkste modeontwerpsters van dit moment. Opnieuw beseft Paul zijn bevoorrechte positie. Want hoe graag had zijn eigen moeder Mary niet meebeleefd hoe het Paul was vergaan. Maar hij was 14 toen ze overleed. In het nummer Let It Be bracht Paul een eerbetoon aan Mother Mary. Hoe graag had hij haar ook laten zien dat bijvoorbeeld kleindochter Stella het zover heeft geschopt. Ze bracht de eerste jaren van haar leven door op de intensive care. En nu heeft ze dit bereikt. En nogmaals, op eigen kracht.
Remember that your mother always wanted to see their two kids grow up. You have the privilege, and not only that privilege, but they have not the reputation of their father, but for example your daughter Stella and James playing with you and co-writing. We have now McCartney and McCartney as a couple. It's great to see that they can do it on their own talent and that they don't need your name. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, you know, they're very keen on that. I think they didn't want to just take the name and just trade on it. I think Stella had to think long and hard before she sort of came out as a dress designer, because she wondered whether she would be taking the name. But then, but I said to her, "It's your name. It's not just mine. That is your real name. And the point is that even if you use the name, then you still got to deliver the goods." You know, if after the first year she'd have made terrible dresses, that name would have become a problem. It would have said a conspicuous failure, you know. So you still have to do it, you know.
Stella heeft daarbij één zeer bijzondere inspiratiebron.
Every designer's mother is their inspiration, and I'm no different from that. And my mum inspires every day of my life. So.
And how is it working with your son? If you're composing?
It was lovely. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, he was playing guitar while I was noodling around on this song called Back in the Sunshine Again, and I just had some little thing going. It was here we are, back in the sunshine again. Oh yeah, that kind of thing, you know. And he started doing a sort of. So he just put a little riff in it.
Right.
So it was like a real nice little place to go. And so I said, "Wow, that's great. What's that?" He said, "Well, it's just a little thing I'm making up." So we put the two together. And so that became the middle. I just put some words to it about life's too short to sort of fuss and mess around.
Since a couple of years already, you're more or less back to simplicity. Is that a metaphor for the way you're trying to live nowadays?
Yeah, you know, I like simplicity. It's often a good thing. Sometimes you look back at what you thought was just corny work. I remember somebody recently saying, "Wow, I love your song, Love Me Do." And we thought, well, it's just corny. But if you analyse, you know, love me do, you know I love you, I'll always be true. It's kind of really quite good sentiments, but it's very corny. But it worked. A lot of people remember it with a lot of joy. So I like simplicity at the moment. It doesn't mean to say that a little later I might get interested in complexity again. But at the moment, I like simplicity.
But also in day-to-day life, you buy your own Christmas tree these days, probably, or not?
Yeah.
Because there were times when you phoned up Apple and said, "I need one."
No, that's right. Yeah,
That's a major change.
Yeah, no, but in the Beatles, you know, we had a car laid on. You had this laid on. You rang the office to get this. And I got fed up.
Yeah.
At some point, I just thought, no, I don't like to live like that, you know. So nowadays, I chop my own Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
I talk to her and say, excuse me, there are a lot of your brothers around.
I need you. Yeah.
You do it? That's a special tree then, you know, you do that.
Dit nummer, Freedom, schreef McCartney een dag na de 11e september. Hij organiseerde direct een concert voor New York City. Het publiek in Madison Square Garden bestond uit 2 groepen. Duizenden familieleden van slachtoffers van de ramp en 5000 politiemannen en brandweerlieden en andere moedige helpers in de nood.
Apart from the album, there's this extra single, Freedom.
Yeah.
Was there a sort of personal extra connection with what happened on the 11th of September, since, for example, your father had been a fireman, a volunteer in World War II, since your kids are half American?
Yeah, exactly. And I was there and I'd seen a lot of my relatives and we were just taking off.
I read it. That's strange. You were in a plane.
We were actually in the plane at JFK when it happened. So we experienced it with a lot of our friends and relatives from New York. And as I saw the firefighters and the heroism, like everyone saw on the TV pictures, it reminded me that my dad had been a firefighter, but he never talked about it. You know, after World War II, a lot of that generation didn't really talk about it. And when I grew up, he was now a cotton salesman. Yeah. Completely different life. So we never really talked about it much. But when I saw those firefighters going in, I thought, wow, you know, that's what my dad did. And we actually went down to a few of the places to give out tickets for the show. Heather and I went down to the Ladder 6 and to Ladder 55, that's what they call the fire stations. And the guys were saying, you know, those guys in World War II, in Europe, they had the hardest job. He said they had to put out a whole block of fire with a hose. So those guys respected my dad's generation, so I felt very proud of him.
So there was some sort of extra personal connection with what happened there.
Yeah.
Terrible, because freedom was at stake and is at stake, isn't it?
I think so. You know, I think, you know, because someone doesn't agree with another country's policies, I think that's okay. That's free speech. But I don't think you're allowed to just go take out 2 big buildings. I don't think that's the way to do it. And I think if that's allowed in the world, we can get to a Holocaust pretty quickly. So I support freedom and I support efforts to curb and end terrorism if it's possible. And, you know, and the other good thing is that if it did happen, like is happening in Afghan, you know, hopefully that can be resolved peacefully quite quickly. The good thing is that you will find that the women in those countries, for instance, and the people, are able to have freedom.
Yeah.
And that would be a good thing, because it means that then they get the freedom we enjoy.
If that's part of the outcome, it's perfect already, isn't it?
That would be a perfect outcome.
Paul McCartney, van Liverpool schoffie tot zeer betrokken eigentijds componist. Na alle gekte, al lange tijd en heel nadrukkelijk terug naar wat hem het beste ligt: de eenvoud.
There's so many periods in your life. In what respect have you remained the same in these 59 years?
I've always felt the same. You know, I was saying to someone the other day about I helped the New York City, and I was very proud to help this huge city that we've seen movies about it, and it's big. New York's big, you know, in everyone's imagination. But there was me helping them out, you know, in this time of need, and I felt very proud to be able to do that. And I was saying to someone, because really inside I just feel like some kid from Liverpool. And they said, well, you're not. You know, you're not anymore. I said, but in my heart, I am. I remember how it was before I was famous. I remember getting on a bus, you know, all the ordinary little things. And I have a big feeling for that. I still like that. You know, in London, I'll go on the tube. People say, you don't go on the tube. I say, yeah, why not? You know, because someone may recognise me, but then I talk to them. It's okay. And, you know, I like people. I like getting on with people. I like one-to-one, you know. It's what I've always liked. So that's very much part of my thing. And so inside of myself, I always felt like that. Yeah. The same guy I always was. But this guy's got very famous. And he's done a lot of things, you know. Hey.
Yes, it hasn't had any sort of influence on you as a person.
Well, I don't know. It must have had some influence, but I try not to let it take over, you know. I still go back up to Liverpool, and there, I'm nothing. In my family, it's like, Paul, I'm just Paul. All right, Paul, yeah, do you want a drink? Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead. And I'm nothing special, you know, which I like. That's great, because I'm just one of the gang, just like I always was. And you go back for the New Year's Eve party, and it's great. You know, there's no fame, there's no sir. They make fun of me.
Yeah.
He said, hey, Paul, he says, next time you meet the Queen, would you say to her, hey, do you know Ronnie Fogg? Ronnie Fogg's just one of the guys, you know. He said, I've got to ask the Queen, hey, do you know Ronnie Fogg? But that's the kind of people they are, and I said, that's what I like.
Yeah.
Ordinary.
And you're back in the sunshine again now.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Feeling good.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Paul McCartney. Een van de 2 Beatles die nog in leven zijn. Alleen hun muziek is onsterfelijk.